May 9, 1941, 1400 hours. North Atlantic, south of Iceland, aboard German U-boat 110. Submerged in the gray abyss where convoy OB 318 plows through towering swells, alarms blare like banshees through the steel hull, red lights pulsing in the dim control room. Captain Lieutenant Fritz Julius Lemp grips the periscope, his knuckles white, sweat beading on his brow despite the chill. "Torpedoes away!" he barks, voice cutting through the hum of electric motors. You can almost hear the hiss as the eels streak toward their targets, merchant ships laden with war material, silhouetted against the stormy horizon. One strikes home, a distant boom echoes through the water, vibrations rattling the gauges. Cheers erupt from the crew, but Lemp's eyes narrow. He knows the escorts are closing in British destroyers. HMS Bulldog, Broadway, and Arbrisha, their Aztec pings probing like fingers in the dark. Suddenly the world erupts. Depth charges rain down, thunderous explosions rocking U-110 like a ragdoll in a gale. Metal groans, pipes burst, seawater sprays from seams. "Blow the tanks!" "Surface!" Lemp orders, his face a mask of grim resolve. The boat surges upward, breaching the waves amid foaming chaos. Machine guns chatter from the conning tower as the crew scrambles topside, but the destroyers are upon them, shells whipping the air. 15 men fall in the Fury bullets and shrapnel, claiming lives in seconds. Lemp, the ace who sank the Athenia early in the war, signals surrender, his crew hauling down the Kriegsmarine ensign. But in the panic, something vital is forgotten below. The Enigma machine, rotors set. Codebooks open on the radio table. From HMS Bulldog's bridge. Commander Joe Baker Cresswell watches the drama unfold, his binoculars fixed on the listing sub. "Board her," he commands, the corvette Arbrisha already maneuvering close. Sub-Lieutenant David Balm, a lanky 20-year-old with nerves of steel, volunteers for the prize crew. He leaps into a weir with 8 men, oars slicing the frigid swells as they row toward the enemy vessel. You can feel the salt spray stinging your face, the roll of the ocean threatening to swamp them. U-2 110 wallows, half submerged, her hatches ajar like a wounded beast. Balm climbs the conning tower, pistol drawn, descending into the gloom below. The air reeks of diesel, sweat, and fear-abandoned stations, papers scattered, lights flickering from emergency batteries. Heart pounding. Balm pushes through the forward torpedo room, past bunks and lockers into the radio shack. There it sits, the Enigma M3, wooden case gleaming under a bare bulb, its keyboard and landboard pristine, rotors aligned for the day's key. Beside it, the Kurtsignali codebook, bigram tables, and cipher settings, secrets that could unravel the U-boat Volf packs. His men strip the boat, charts, logs, even the captain's chronometer. They haul it all topside in frantic relays, stuffing documents into oilskins as water laps at their boots. U-2 110 is sinking, slowly but surely, her scuttling charges perhaps armed by the fleeing crew. Balm's team barely escapes as the sub slips beneath the waves the next day, deliberately allowed to founder to hide the capture from prying Luftwaffe eyes, back on Bulldog. The prizes locked away, the German survivors, 32 souls, including radio officer Georg Higel, blindfolded and interrogated below decks. Commander Baker Cresswell signals London in code, Primrose plucked. But what they've seized isn't just metal and paper. It's the key to piercing the veil of Nazi naval communications. As the convoy steams on, the Atlantic's deadly game shifts. The Germans, believing U-110 lost with all hands, suspect nothing. Yet, in this moment of triumph, a greater battle looms, not of steel and torpedoes, but of minds and machines. How could this trove unlock the unbreakable? And who would wield it to doom Dinitz's dreams? The convoy fades into the mist, but the real storm is brewing on a quiet English estate, where eccentric geniuses await their weapon. June 1941, dawn breaks over the manicured lawns of Bletchley Park, Buckinghamshire, where Victorian spires pierce a sky heavy with English rain. Hut 8 buzzes with urgency, typewriters clacking, cigarette smoke curling under low ceilings. Mathematicians hunched over desks strewn with punched cards and cryptic intercepts. Alan Turing strides through the door. His lanky frame disheveled, tie askew, bicycle clips still on his trousers from the commute. At 29, he's already a legend in abstract realms. His 1936 paper on the Enchidungsprobel challenging the limits of computation. But here, theory meets terror. "We've got it," announces Gordon Welchman, head of Hut 6, thrusting the U-110 Hall into Turing's hands, the Enigma machine. Its rotors frozen in naval settings, codebooks damp from the Atlantic. Turing's eyes light up behind wire-rimmed glasses. He cradles the device like a long-lost artifact. Fingers tracing the keyboard where German operators once spelled doom, the room falls silent as he plugs it in, the hum of electricity mingling with the drip of rain outside. You can almost taste the tension, the stale tea, the ozone from wiring diagrams pinned to walls. Bletchley isn't a fortress of soldiers but of scholars, chess champion Hugh Alexander, linguist John Hurreville, and a cadre of Wren's Women's Royal Naval Service operating the clunky bombs in adjacent sheds. Recruited via cryptic ads in the Times, government requires puzzle solvers. They've sworn oaths under the Official Secrets Act, their work compartmentalized to Hut numbers. Hut 8 focuses on naval traffic. The hardest nut, fewer messages, stricter protocols, and those extra rotors making permutations explode to 336 possibilities per starting position. Turing dissects the prize. The Kursignali book reveals shortcuts abbreviated signals for weather, positions, sightings like BE for convoy sighted. Bigram tables map indicators to settings, a procedural flaw the Germans overlook. But it's not enough. Daily keys change, and without cribs, guessed plaintext like Wetterberricht, weather report, decryption stalls. Early breaks come from operator laziness. One in Norway uses his girlfriend's initials CIL repeatedly, a kiss that betrays the key. Hurreville's tip exploits inertia rotors often left near previous settings at midnight reset, creating a click pattern in intercepts, yet the naval Enigma mocks them. In March 1941, before U-110, they glimpsed Luftwaffe traffic thanks to Polish legacies, but the sea war rages unchecked. Dinitz's Wolfpacks, now 100 strong, coordinate via Enigma bursts, attack at grid AM-52. Convoys like HX-112 limp home halved. Baud is washing ashore on Irish beaches. Churchill, code-named former naval person, cables Roosevelt in desperation, use Lend-Lease vital but vulnerable. At Bletchley, Turing paces the hut's linoleum floor, sketching on blackboards, loops of logic, hypothetical machines. His insight dawns in solitude build a device to automate the search, exploiting pinches from captures inspired by Polish bombas. He refines the bomb, an electromechanical beast with 36 Enigma equivalents, drums whirring like a demonic orchestra. Wren's like Joan Clark, brilliant cryptanalyst, and Turing's brief fiancé wire the menus, chains of hypothesized letter loops from cribs to plugboards. The first bomb, Victory, arrives in March 1941, but it's Hut 8's naval focus that demands ingenuity. Turing realizes, use the U-110 codebooks to backtrack settings for May, then chain forward. By July they read Hydra, the main naval net for days at a time. Intercepts flood in, way stations dotting Britain snag Morse code, couriered to Bletchley in sealed bags. The breakthroughs feel electric. One night, Turing deciphers a message pinpointing Bismarck's supply ships after her hood-sinking rampage. RAF bombs them, forcing the behemoth into open seas where she's hunted down. You sense the shift Allies dodging Wolfpacks, rerouting convoys around ambush points. But secrecy binds them. No one outside knows, not even field commanders fully. Turing's team swells to 200. Bombs multiplying to 211 by war's end, each run devouring hours. Overheating in the hut's stuffy confines, still. The Germans adapt, adding a fourth rotor in February 1942 for Triton, blacking out the Atlantic for months. Dönitz smells a rat, ordering procedural tightenings. As 1941 closes, Bletchley's triumphs teeter. U-boats sink 1,299 ships that year, Britain rationing bread to crumbs. Turing, battling personal demons, his homosexuality, a criminal secret travels to America. Sharing bomb designs with Bell Labs, back home. The puzzle deepens. how to crack the evolving beast before starvation claims the Isles. Whirs of machinery echo into the night, but a greater revelation simmers one man's mind against the machine, poised to turn hunters into the hunted. February 1, 1942. Midnight in Hut 8, Bletchley Park, where the blackout curtains swallow the glow of desk lamps, and the air hangs thick with the scent of overheating wiring and endless cups of rationed tea. Alan Turing sits alone at a workbench, surrounded by the skeletal frames of half-assembled bombs, their drums and relays sprawled like the innards of a mechanical beast. He rubs his temples, the weight of the blackout pressing in the shark key. The new four-rotor naval Enigma, dubbed Triton, has plunged the Atlantic into darkness since its introduction hours ago. Intercepts that once yielded to Hut 8's methods now mock them. The extra rotor explodes possibilities to 336 times the old count, a mathematical abyss. You can feel the frustration coiling in the room. Turing's colleagues have retired to their billets, but he remains, scribbling furiously on foolscap paper, equations dancing under his pencil like fireflies in the dim light. His mind, a whirlwind of logic gates and hypothetical loops, fixates on the flaw. The Enigma's reflector doesn't allow letter to encrypt to itself, a no-fixed-point rule that's both curse and key. This is Turing's domain, not the roar of battle, but the silent war of abstraction. Pre-war, he dreamed of universal machines, devices that could simulate any computation, but now that vision crystallizes into salvation, the bomb isn't brute force. It's elegant deduction. He refines the design. Synchronized drums mimic Enigma rotors, wired to test chains of assumptions from Cribb's guest phrases like Kainzu Satsi, no additions, at message ends. But with Triton, standard bombs falter. The fourth rotor, thin and slow-stepping, demands a leap. Turing's insight strikes like lightning, exploit pinches from weather codes or recitings, where short signals overlap with main traffic, revealing alignments. He sketches a new attachment, the thin reflector simulator to probe, the unknown wheel. Days blur into nights as prototypes clatter to life in the bomb huts. Wrens like Mavis Beatty and Zhang Valentine tending the monsters, oiling bearings amid the din of 108 drums spinning at 120 revolutions per minute. Each run, a menu plugged. Switches set, the machine whirring for 20 minutes per rotor order. Halting on Stecker's plugboard hits. Turing paces the concrete floors, his hay fever muffled by a gas mask in pollen season. Barking adjustments. By March, they crack peripheral nets like dolphin for home waters, but the ocean valve packs evade. Dunitz, from his chateau in France, unleashes Operation Paukenschlag drumbeat off America's coast. U-boats torching tankers in sight of New York lights. 609 ships sunk in 6 months. Oil slicks fouling beaches. Turing voyages to Washington in autumn 1942. Briefcase chained to his wrist, sharing blueprints with U.S. Navy's OP-20G. There, amid the marble halls of the Navy building, he clashes with engineers, his abstract purity versus their pragmatic speed. Bell Labs builds faster bombs, vacuum tubes humming, but Turing's core logic prevails. Back at Bletchley, reinforcements arrive. Colossus, Tommy Flower's electronic colossus for Lawrence inspires, but Enigma demands electromechanics. The turning point whispers in the eureka moment. Turing realizes Banborismus, a Bayesian scoring of rotor overlaps using punched cards, narrows the search from trillions to thousands. By December 1942, with U-110's legacy and new captures like U-559 seized in the Mediterranean by HMS Petard's boarding party. Enigma keys clutched by dying Tony Fasson and Colin Grazier, the pieces align. Hut 8 reads Triton sporadically, then steadily. Convoys HX-229 and SC-122 become test cases. 21 ships lost in a mid-Atlantic melee, but post-break reroutes save hundreds. You hear the sighs of relief in Churchill's War Room Ultra-Intelligence. The golden eggs from Bletchley's geese flows. Boat positions plotted on maps. Escorts vectored like chess pieces, yet Turing's triumph is shadowed. His engagement to Joan Clark ends amicably, his secrets buried deeper. The The bombs, now 200 strong, devour electricity, their heat warping the huts. Breaks reveal horror's messages of troop movements, but also atrocities like those from Einsatzgruppen. As 1943 dawns, the Atlantic's kill rate plummets, from 100 ships monthly to mere dozens. Dunitz puzzles over betrayals, suspecting spies. Not the quiet man in Hut 8. The machine yields, but the cost mounts, exhaustion etches faces, secrecy strains souls. With the code cracked, the hunters become prey, but a final onslaught looms. Can the Allies sustain the deception as D-Day approaches? May 1943. Convoy ONS 5 steams through the fog-shrouded North Atlantic. 43 merchantmen huddled like sheep under the watchful eyes of escort group. B-7 destroyers and corvettes pitching in 50-foot swells, their decks iced over in the biting wind. Commander Peter Gretton, aboard HMS Duncan, scans the horizon through binoculars fogged by his breath. SDIC operators below straining for the telltale ping of submerged foes. The Wolfpacks close in Grupp, Fink, and Amsel. 40 U-boats strong, directed by Enigma, bursts from Dinitz's headquarters in Berlin. Converge on grid BD-14, the codes whisper, unseen hands guiding torpedoes toward hulls. Explosions rip the night. Ships like SS Gorinda and Bond splinter in flames, cargoes of tanks and grains spilling into the abyss. 13 vessels sink in 48 hours, survivors clinging to debris as sharks circle in the murk. Gretton grits his teeth, his group down to 6 ships after detachments. But Ultra whispers back Bletchley's brakes. Now near real-time thanks to high-speed bombs. Reveal U-boat positions like stars on a chart. You feel the pivot in the salt-lashed air. Lyle's vector in reinforcements, Msorby rams U-125. Her bow crumpling the sub's pressure, hull in a grinding collision. Depth charges bloom underwater, oil slicks marking graves. By May 6th, 7 U-boats lie shattered, their crews entombed in crushed steel U-638, U-2-192 names etched in Dinitz's loss logs. The convoy limps to Newfoundland with 30 survivors, but the cost to Germany stings. Black May unfolds. 43 U-boats lost that month alone, a quarter of the operational fleet. Dunitz, the lion of the submarines, paces his map room. Fists clenched, his son Peter among the dead. Sunk on U-954 by a Liberator's bombs. At Bletchley, the machinery of victory hums unchecked. Turing's refinements, diagonal board attachments to speed plugboard deductions / decryption times from days to hours. The U.S. Navy's 4 rotor bombs, beasts with 120 drums, join the fray from Dayton, Ohio, their outputs ferried by secure channels. Ultra exposes refueling rendezvous, milk cows like U-459, fat with diesel, ambushed by carrier groups. Technological edges compound Huff-Duff direction finders triangulate radio bursts in seconds. Hedgehog mortar fire ahead without Aztec blind spots. Centimetric radar pierces night and fog. Spotting periscopes from miles away, the human element pulses beneath. Wrens work 72-hour shifts. Eyes bleary from scrutinizing Banbury sheets, overlapping message depths punched on film strips, lit from below to reveal patterns. Turing, now consulting on speech encipherment, cycles the grounds in odd hours, his mind a fortress against burnout. Secrecy is ironclad. Churchill's ultra most secret. Stamp means no boasts, only quiet reroutes saving thousands. In June 1943, sinkings dropped to 18 ships. By July, U-boats withdraw from the mid-Atlantic. Dunitz conceding in his diary, "We have lost the Battle of the Atlantic." He suspects radar. Not code breaks interrogating survivors for loose lips, reshuffling keys. But the 4th rotor's thin wheels yield to persistent. Cribs like depth reports matching Allied sightings. You taste the reversal. Once predators, now skulk coastal. Harried by hunter-killer groups like Captain Frederick John Walker's 2nd Support Group. His sloop HMS Starling claiming 6 kills in 1 patrol with creeping attacks slow. Methodical depth charge patterns that crush hulls at 500 feet. Air cover seals the gap. Very long-range liberators from Iceland and the Azores, equipped with Lee lights, turn night into day for submerged boats forced to surface for batteries. Losses mount over 200 U-boats in 1943, crews young and green. Morale fracturing in the diesel stench tubes, yet shadows linger. Enigma evolves again with pluggable reflectors. In 1944, but Bletchley's momentum now 10,000 staff, Colossus aiding non-Morse overcomes. Ultra aids D-Day pinpointing coastal batteries, but the Atlantic's toll echoes. 3,500 Allied ships sunk overall. 36,000 sailors drowned, against 783 U-boats and 28,000 German dead. Turing's insight, a spark in HUD 8, fans into conflagration, dooming the Kriegsmarine's reach. As the noose tightens, Dönitz faces the abyss. What final blows will seal the Navy's fate? And what legacy endures from the Codebreaker's quiet war? Ears grind onward, but victory's shadow hides new perils. May 7, 1945, 2,343 hours. Admiralty Citadel, London, where the air tastes of victory cigars and stale coffee, and teletype machines chatter like liberated birds in the war rooms. Fluorescent glare, Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz stands rigid in his Loyang bunker, now a ghost town of shattered pens and abandoned charts, as the Führer's final testament appoints him Reich president. Berlin falls, but the U-boats fight on, 200 prowling the seas on Regenbogen orders, sink anything afloat. Yet Ultra has mapped them, all positions, fuel states, even morale reports decrypted in hours. From Bletchley's bombs, now a forest of 211 whirring titans tended by 1,700 wrens. Intelligence floods Admiral Sir Max Horton's western approaches, U-2324 at FJ-29. Low batteries. RAF Sunderlands and escort carriers pounce. Depth charges turning the hunter's domain into a slaughter pen. You hear the capitulation crackle over the radio. Dönitz's signal to all boats, cease fire. Return to bases. One by one, they surface, battle flags struck, crews lining decks in defeat's hush. U-505, captured intact off Africa in 1944 by USS Pillowfish's boarding party, yields another Enigma cache, but the war is won. In Black May, 41 U-boats perished. By Via Day, 515 more joined them, 3/4 of the fleet. 28,000 sailors drowned in their iron coffins. Convoys cross unmolested, 12 million tons monthly, fueling Overlord and the Rhine crossings. Churchill toasts in Parliament, the Battle of the Atlantic is won, but credits weather, not the Codebreakers whose golden eggs shortened the war by 2 to 4 years, saving millions. At Bletchley, the huts empty in secrecy's veil. Turing, gaunt and withdrawn, deciphers final traffic amid personal unraveling, prosecuted in 1952 for gross indecency, chemically castrated his mind fracturing. He dies August 7, 1954, cyanide-laced apple by his bedside. Ruled suicide at 41, his colleagues scatter, Welchman to GCHQ, Alexander to bridge, Clark to pensions. The estate reverts to a girls' school, bombs scrapped or buried, documents burned. We never existed, Turing quips in jest, but it's truth. Ultra classified until 1974. When F.W. Winterbotham's The Ultra Secret shatters the silence, oblivious to the core betrayal, blames radar and air power at Nuremberg. Sentenced to 10 years in Spandau. Interrogated post-war, he scoffs at Enigma's fall, impossible. Yet hints pierced his fog. UM-10's loss, unexplained convoy evasions, but arrogance blinded him. The Kriegsmarine's doom traces to that May dawn in 1941, when Baum's hands clutched the machine and Turing's logic pierced its heart. One insight, the bomb's chained menus, exploiting no fixed points and crib loops, scaled human genius to machine speed. Reading 84% of traffic by 1945. The legacy ripples eternal. Modern computing, Turing's theoretical machine births laptops, AI, the digital age from wartime desperation. Bletchley saved Britain, enabled D-Day, crushed the Volfpacks. Families never receive telegrams. Cities don't starve. In the quiet of Hut 8's ruins today, plaques honor the unseen. 9,000 souls. Mostly women whose whirring drums doomed an empire. Imagine Turing cycling those lanes one last time, the wind whispering victory. From the abyss of U-110's Radio Shack to the Reich's collapse, one codebreaker's brilliant insight turned the tide. The Enigma cracked. The German Navy doomed. And in silence, genius prevailed.